Oh yeah, that shot. So today I'm working on the Dodge Nitro. You'll find that there's a bunch of coolant that's leaking from the front end. Most of the time that is a water pump. This is the 3.7 liter. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna pressure test it. We're gonna pump it up and see what comes out. You see it's coming off the rack and pinion and timing cover harmonic balancer. So let's get into that. You can actually see through the harmonic balancer, and there are drips coming from just right behind that. What's behind that? What's above it? It's the water pump. You can't see, but it's the water pump. The water pump's really easy to do. These are one of my favorite ones to do. You don't even have to pull the harmonic balancer. And to make it even easier, it's got a spring-loaded belt tensioner clear out here, and there's no fan. So as a mechanic, I work on things, and I have things I like working on and things that I don't. And I work on things across the spectrum. Cars, four-wheelers, motorcycles, boats, you name it. There's all kinds of stuff that I work on. As far as water pump jobs, this is my second favorite one. My two favorite water pump jobs are both on Chrysler vehicles. I have a limited attention span sometimes I'm really tired. Nothing cheers me up like working on something like this. So my number one favorite water pump job is on the minivan, 3.3 liter Dodge Caravan. It's exactly like this one pretty much. This is a 3.7. This is in the Jeep Patriot, it's in the Liberty, and it's in the Dodge Nitro. That's what we're working on today. So shout out to Steve Robb. Thanks for the stickers. He said, I'd love to see my sticker on your lift. I've got a P.O. box address in the bottom. If you have stuff like that you want to send me, I'd love to show the people that supported me and getting where I'm at and all that kind of stuff. So shout out to you. Thanks, Steve. But this is a perfect job to do when you're tired because it doesn't take a lot of brain power. It's really easy. As with any job, you look at the parts beforehand. It really gives you a heads up as to what you're into. I love the design of this one. This is a Daimler Chrysler design, and it's got a little tab right here that corresponds with that. So you know that it's going to flip over. I mean, the gasket just makes sense. The bolts are evenly spaced for the most part. The thickness of where the bolts go in is consistent. I love that. It's just a cool design. I don't like the plastic impeller on this. I wish that wasn't the case, but this one doesn't even have a fan clutch. You don't need the special fan clutch holder and puller and wrenches and all that crap, which I also really like because it's an electric fan. Everything's accessible. It looks like it's going to be a nightmare because you can't really see in there, but in reality, once you pull these off, it can all be done from the top. You don't really need a lift. The radiator drain on this is a piece of cake. Love them or hate them, this thing's a pleasure to work on for the most part. This needed some love anyway. It looks like you can see right through the bottom of the terminal there. And it needs a little cleanup, so that's a good thing to do, just pull that out anyway. There's a 10mm bolt at the hold down block, and these terminals are both 10mm. With the battery removed, you can see that we've got good access to that little bolt down there. Battery gone, it's easy. Without, good luck. And the battery's easy to pull. When you go to pull the battery out, rock it away from the block, and that'll push the block up, and then you can get it out from underneath this little shelf right here. If you just get a T20 and just go across your Torx bolts like this. Fenders are not great parts dishes, so we're going to grab a magnet dish, and you can set them in like that. They actually hold a magnet dish really well. I'm going to do a little twisting and pulling here. I've already drained the radiator. Drain cock on this thing's really easy. Here's a picture of what that looks like. So this is the drain cock here. This is where the antifreeze comes out. It's a nice straight clean shot to the ground. General Motors and Toyota could take a lesson from that. Holy smokes. The drain cock's a little counterintuitive because when you go to twist it, it's in the vertical position. And of course it's down here, down on this side. So you rotate it and then you pull back and twist, and it'll come out that way. When you go to put it back in, you turn it, push in as you turn, and then finish it. Using a 6-inch extension really makes this a lot easier to get to. So that way you're working out here in this big open space instead of crammed down into that little space. So we've got this pulled up because we got the screw out. There's little tabs or wings, if you will, on each side of this thing. But when you pull those wings to the side like that, and then pull the pump up, it comes up and out, and immediately it starts leaking, so you want to get your pump up and then your thumb on it all in one movement like that. If you do that, you're just going to be okay. So I do have a drain pan to catch a little bit of that, But it's not a huge mess to clean up washer fluid. It dries pretty quick. So we're up and out. Whee! So I just took a funnel and a jug and just poured it out. And you can see it comes out in a thing like that. Rather than trying to have that stay in the funnel, it's best to just hold this thing up in the air at an angle. This one has a cap on this side, so you can tip it all the way up this way, and this just holds everything, no problem. And then this will come out like a pin. You just aim that at the funnel. That bolt, that was the hardest part of the whole job. From here on out, it's pretty easy. The water pump's straightforward. It's got electric fans, which are more efficient, better fuel economy, and way easier to work with. The next thing we do is take the belt off. It's on a spring tensioner. You get a 15mm wrench. You just pull back and then pull the belt off. If you have two hands, imagine how easy it's going to be for you. Take good notes on where the belt goes. And it goes whoop around the water pump and whoop kind of sideways to the crankshaft. You just wrap around these two and then up around the tensioner and up around these two, just like big Mickey Mouse ears. That's what I see when I look at it. I see Mickey Mouse. So we'll pull the belt off. I just let my wrench stay on the tensioner. I won't be here very long. We need to pull this one off, the center bolt out of this tensioner. It might be bad too. Pulley's actually pretty firm, so it'd probably be a good idea to replace this pulley while I'm in here. Oh yeah, that shot. If you want to do this by hand, you can do it by hand. If you have impact tools, it's worth pulling the fan out. It's really easy. It's just a 10mm bolt right here in this one. You got another one on the other side and it sits on a shelf at the bottom, and then you just got this big plug. So I just take my T20 socket, I push down on that, pull it in, and then after I've pulled in, then just pull it back, and we're free. You just tuck this up. I like to have it stick and face me like an eyeball looking at me. Don't forget to plug it in for some stupid reason. You never know what's going to happen in the shop or at home or whatever to distract you. So you have a space where there's not a lot of bolts on this part of it. That's where your harmonic balancer is. So line up the old pump like this, and this is what I do with all water pumps just about, but especially on anything like this. You just go through and just hit all these, and every bolt that comes out. So I'll pull the first one out and then I'll put it back in just a little. At the same time, I have a drain pan down there. I'm going to scoot that to where the drip was underneath, because we're going to spill some more out of this water pump. So I've got this in just a little bit. Switch it back to reverse. So much easier than doing it by hand. See, now I can cruise through. I just leave them in their holes, and then I can match them one by one. And that way, if there's a bolt that holds the timing cover and the water pump a little bit, you can make sure you get it in the right hole and don't send a long bolt down a short hole and break something. It could happen, but it's not going to, because I got a good habit. The other nice thing about having the other water pump here, aside from being kind of like a placeholder or whatnot, so I got another one down in there. Let this one come out, but you just go through and just drop them in, you know, tat for tat. See, there's a long one, and then you transfer the bolts over. It seems like a pain in the neck, but you know what's a pain in the neck? Trying to figure out why you've got oil and antifreeze mixing because you put a bolt all the way through your timing cover. That's a pain in the neck. So this way you got your bolts all in the right spot. And say you missed a bolt, let's see, I did that one wrong. You'll know because there'll be a vacancy here. Like I've got. I know that I missed that bolt. Jeez Louise. Okay, those are the long ones. Another thing is that if you put the bolts in, it's funny for me to teach this and then do it wrong. That's what happens when you got a camera in one hand. What I'm looking for now is just a place that I can pry. So I'm going to take a little pry bar. See, the water pump part of this job is a cakewalk. It's fun. So I pry it like that. I already have a catch basin underneath. I'll double check, make sure that my placement's good. Save on housekeeping later. You can see how that hanger bolt just holds it right there. Isn't that fun? Now we got the other water pump out. Cleaning is easy on these. I mean, you pretty much just wipe it off, and you could probably get away with not even doing that. On the downside, these gaskets leak, but on the upside, they leak about the same time that the seal does. So you got to get into it anyway. Anyway you look at it, that's where the leak was coming from. You can see that it's dominating all of the real estate above the harmonic balancer. And you can see weep marks coming down. We're gonna lay it out in the same way. 140,000 miles on the original water pump, that's not bad. So we'll just start transferring these over. The transfer's easier than the initial pull. Start on one side and go around clockwise or counterclockwise, that's ideal. Here's where the long bolts are. You got a long one on this side and you got 2 long ones here. And you can verify that because they're smooth here. You can check it. That's a long bolt, short bolt, short bolt. Short bolt, short. Long. The top hanger one is short, and this guy up in here is long. The long ones hold the timing cover as well as the water pump. I tend to seal mine in with Permatex Right Stuff. You don't have to, but it's just insurance that this gasket won't fail. The first thing to fail will be the seal, and that should be a good long time from now. So I've got my gasket maker. I'm using gasket maker as a sealant. What better sealant than a maker, right? So we're just going to punch this on down in, and then you got your alignment tabs on each side. Alignment tabs help hold it in. The gasket maker as a sealant is really not necessary. Whoever designed this is probably cussing me out right now saying, "You stupid idiot, you don't have to do that." It just really crushes and seals everything up really good. I like it. And then the gasket can't fall out while I'm messing with my bolt. You'll notice that the surface is all clean now. I went over it with a Scotch-Brite pad and just cleaned it up, just so you got a clean factory type finish, just clean metal. And just take the brake cleaner and then just clean all the dust and the dirt and the oils off and you're good. Overkill, check. Overkill, check. So when you look at it, just think of that thing as like if something it hangs from. It sticks up the highest, and those are spread apart to make way for the harmonic balancer. You just go down in there and just picture hang the thing in there. So the way the water pump works is you see the center part there has a deep cavity. That goes to the engine block, and then this one here, if you follow, goes to the radiator hose and the thermostat. So the thermostat blocks flow from the engine, from the coolant getting out. So it gets shoved down that hole and gets pulled out of this hole. Hot antifreeze pulled from the engine, shoved down over there. And then it goes shoved up through the radiator, and then once it's been cooled, it goes back in here, and then the cool antifreeze wants to make its way back down. Pretty cool. And it's all done with this circular impeller, plastic or not. Incidentally, the plastic impeller on this one did not fail like a Volkswagen or a Toyota or something. And so hopefully we're okay. I don't like the plastic impellers. I like aluminum. Aluminum's expensive though. All right, tightening sequence. So I got all my bolts in there. I got my long bolts in the long hole. See that gap on the back side there behind the bolt head? That's bad. You don't want that. So you want to go on opposite sides. I already tightened this side, so I had to go up here and close the gap. Dinner. Sounds like a dinner bell triangle. Anyway, you just keep going on the opposite sides, and that ensures that you get a nice flat seal on it. Go and check our torque. Make sure that we're snugged down, but we're not stripping stuff out. I really like that. When you're torquing them down, you got to go opposites. Ooh, that's about perfect. I'm really getting to know this gun pretty well, as long as the battery's good, right? I watch it, and I watch the metal snug down. This will just make it so there's not a big rusty spot there. It'll look better. See, look at that. Beauty must. No, with this spray, I love how easy it is to use that nozzle. But you have to clear it when you're done, or else they get backed up. Hold it upside down and run it out. Once you've done that, next time you go to use it, it'll work perfect, just like new. At this point, we really need to fill the radiator, for one. Look at all the stuff that's accumulating up in there. That's not good. I didn't order that. Hopefully that's some kind of factory stop leak and not other kind of stop leak. The heat performance on this was crap coming home last night. I'm going to wind up doing a heater core on this. You watch and see. While I've got the belt off, let's check the AC compressor clutch. We'll check the alternator. We'll check our tensioner pulleys dry. So I'm going to need two. I'm going to need a new tensioner pulley. The spring was strong. the mount's strong and this housing and casing is strong, I need an idler and a tensioner pulley apparently. So once the water pump job's all done, I take the pressure tester and pump it up to whatever the cap says. This one is pumped up to about 18 psi. And the reason why I chose 18 as a random number is because that's what the cap's rated for. The cap on the system or whatever specified for the system is pump it up to that. If you can do it when it's warm, that's great, but not always. So remember before we had all kinds of dripping going on? We don't now. It's quiet. There's nothing to hear. We'll go ahead and proceed and put this together the rest of the way. Take those terminals off and replace those. It just seems like when you think you're done, you're not. There's still air trapped in the engine. We use the bleeding device at the highest point in the cooling system. Sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. It's usually someplace near the top. But we need to go and get all the air out of the system. And the best way to do that is to run it up to operating temperature. And the reason why is that'll make Mr. Thermostat down there at the bottom hose open up, and then everything will circulate and the air will accumulate here. We'll let the vehicle cool down and then we'll check the coolant again and make sure that it's still full.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to click like, subscribe, and comment in the comment section below.
And be sure to check out Spanky's channel, D6 Spanky.
Yeah, do that.
Bonus footage at the end. So I've actually owned this compressor now for 11 or 12 years. And as I say, it's not been too bad. The reason why this lasts so long and the reason why it's been so quiet and running is because it's an oil bath compressor. Compressors can be really loud, but these are quiet because you got an electric motor here and then you have all of the compression stuff over on the other side away from each other. If you have the electric motor and then the valve body and everything just right together, they don't last long. Plus the oil bath lubricates everything so that this side stays long lasting and the electric motor is off on its own and well cooled, so it lasts forever. And then you've got the belt in between. Dude, just putting some new rims on this thing, look at the difference. Okay, well it's not that big of a difference, but it does look nice.